Okay. Good question to Bob. Honest answer is it doesn't directly. There, there are two separate mechanisms doing two different jobs. It's worth being really clear. They're not connected to each other in any way. The question implies that two group units is about membership. It's a label. It tells Go that this node is part of a group called units. At two group units. So that later something like call group units deselect knows which nodes to reach out to. It doesn't touch selected at all. It has nothing to do with true false. Selected false is about this individual unit state, a private fact about whether this unit currently thinks of itself as selected or not. It doesn't touch group membership at all. Here's how they actually connect, and it's only third through the through the third piece called group. Amu Amu, welcome, man. I'm doing a little bit of I'm doing a little bit of learning GD script because of the immense guilt I feel for using AI. So I'm trying to like this is me. I'm gonna try and like spend some time actually like learning GD script today. I appreciate you stopping by, man. This is like big brain moves, big brain moves. But I'm starting to get a handle on sort of the basics of it. I feel like I'm starting to be in the beginning phases of like grasping the like coding basically. So okay, your unit. Nice. I tried a bit of programming, but I gave up after a few weeks. After a few weeks, I didn't. Dude, I should have given up a long time ago. But I have to try. Like, I just have to keep trying, But yeah, it's fun, but it takes me like longer. I feel like than most people for it to click. So that's sort of the problem. But I am like I think I'm at the big cusp of like I said like the last few days I think I've kind of gotten to like this I understand something kind of thing. So trying to progress today and kind of intertwine the code that's in the game into like learning sessions so that I can like read it better. I want to get to a point where I can read it competently, understand it, so that I can at least like maneuver and stuff, and not just blindly trust Claude. So that's the goal to eventually. This is for the game. This is like no natural coder. Yeah, you have to be kind of like in that kind of sphere, like the mathy kind of people, and like not just the mathy, but yeah, it's definitely like counterintuitive to everything, to the way my whole being is. Like it's completely, yeah, like you got to focus, read, and understand math all at the same time. It's like the worst thing ever, but. I think like I have to like just bear with it. Eventually things will start to snap in place. So here we go. Your unit joins the group once ready. This is a one-time here registration, blah, blah, blah. Right click happens. That triggers get tree call group units deselect, which says everyone in group, please run your own deselect function. Because this unit registered itself in step one, it's one of the nodes that gets reached and its own deselect runs flipping its own selected value. So being in the groups is what makes a unit reachable by that broadcast call. It's not that group membership is selected. Interact with each other directly. Group membership is the mailing list. Selected is private. Each unit manages for itself once it receives the message. Does that separation make sense? I think I understand. I think I understand. Okay. So let's do this. Try and continue here. I can't even have music on. Like this is zero music kind of like training session. I can't like I gotta have all the horse blinders. That's a solid mental breakdown to have locked in since it's the actual mechanism your game uses for selection. Want to keep going with the drill? Yes. Continue with the drill. Yes. Write a script that adds a node. Write a script that adds a node to the group units when it's ready using okay. So function ready. Uh, then I forgot what is it called? Add to group. Um, write a script that adds a node to group units. Um, units. Actually, I do have one I do have one question. Uh, I need a U in there. I do have one question. How do I know that when I do add to group that it is adding that to the node such as what is it called? The something 2D. What's this one? It's not telling me what it is. Why is it behaving so weird right now? Like my entire computer just glitched out. No 2D. Okay. I've been playing chess recently. That's another logical skill I'm no natural at. I enjoy the challenge though. Yeah, chess is supposed to be good for developing instinct with logic and yeah, chess. I never got into chess. It was always it was just not the type of strategy game. I enjoy like watching the units move around the map and things of that nature. So, uh, how do I how do I know when I do add to group that is adding to the node, such as node 2D? Uh, is that just how add to group is built in Godot? Welcome, Misery. Welcome. Hope you're having a great day. Just doing a little bit of learning today for preparing my knowledge for building the games. This is like the stuff that I find the most horrific and boring and uninteresting, but you just have to know this. Well, you don't. I guess that's the thing. I'm not sure you do have to know this because Claude solves everything, but I feel like I do need to do this to try to be like a little bit more of a purist about it, but good question. Let's separate what actually is happening here because there's a subtle mix up worth clearing up. Add to group isn't related to Node 2D specifically. It's not like a no. It's not built like Node 2D or connected to it in any special way. It's a function that exists on the base node class. Sounds exciting in a way I can't appreciate. Yeah, that's I know. I know, trust me. It's something that I would never do if it wasn't an absolute necessity. I would never do this if it wasn't like an absolute requirement. I feel like with everything else, like animations, 3D building 3D models, like I can like that's something I can eventually figure out no matter what. This is something I'm like I'm not sure I can do this even if I try really hard. I find my patience is the biggest test. I get impatient and do hasty move which blows the game. Hmm. True. Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Chess is one of those things, right? Um. Inherits collision object to D. I'm waiting for my water to cook the potion from the beans of life. I'm waiting for my water to cook the potion from the beans of life. Now, are you cooking? Is that are you being fun? Are you framing cooking in a funny way? I only know how to use the air fryer. I never went my cooking skills never went beyond air fryer. So first it was microwave for years, and then once I figured out the air fryer, everything became better. So, but I'm not planning to go any further for a while. To directly answer, how do you know it's adding to the node when you call add to group units with a target specified? Goda assumes you mean this node. The node because in a script, the node this script is on is always the default unstated subject of implicity means selected variable belongs to this script node. Does that distinction help? So, so, so wherever, wherever, so whichever, whichever node add to group is in is the one it's controlling. Cider seems a bit like Lego or plumbing. Once you understand all the pieces available, you can make something really cool. Sitter? Uh, I think you meant. Oh, coffee. I gotcha. That one over my head. Oh, I did have. Remember how I told you guys I grew tobacco leaves, and and then I strung them up to dry, and then I've been like as they've been drying, I've been plucking them and like rolling it into tubes and smoking it, and then like I just went, and then like I ended up just buying cigarettes. I'm like, it's way more efficient. Yeah, exactly. I was just like, like enough with this like toying around. Just give me the real stuff. So right now I'm like semi back to smoking. I'm like, I've quit before. I can quit again. But I have been on a strict. I'm on day 9 of like just nothing but no carbs, like no carbs whatsoever, no coffee. I have been consuming caffeine in like that pill, the 100 milligram pills, to cut out the coffee. Like so, at least it's just the caffeine, and then yeah. But other than that, I've been just no carbs, and I feel great. I do feel like my mind has strengthened. Like I do feel like my focus. Like remember I told you guys about brain fog. That has. I can't say that I'm having like you remember like it's not like that movie Limitless where things are just like I'm solving sequences in my head, but I definitely feel a little bit more clear headed and I'm able to focus a little bit more. So nothing supernatural yet, but definitely definitely like I'm liking where things are coding. Yeah, coding is like seems like Lego plumbing. Yeah, I think so, and I think it's yeah, it's very cool. It's just the problem is Legos like you see Legos visually, and so you don't have to use up your cognitive bandwidth to play with Legos because you see them. But with code, you have to like remember the Lego, hold it in your head and what it does to connect it to the other Lego. So it's like the cognitive load. It's like the most fun Legos, but the cognitive load required is like just a lot. And so I think it just turns a lot of people off, you know. Like I've been at this for months now and I'm barely grasping the basics. But to be fair, I've always been that way. I've always had this kind of stuff not come to me easily. So that's more of a me issue. That's not a cutting out the sugary things definitely help my energy, still working on the carbs. Yeah, well, the issue too with carbs is that it turns into sugar. So that's why I was like, no rice, none of that. That's why I had to go pure carnivore to in order to get rid of all the sugar. Nothing that turns into sugar. That way, after a few weeks, your body's supposed to start eating your fat cells. Like you eat turns to fat, your body eats the fat. There's nothing in your stomach where it pulls the sugar straight into your cells, and so that's supposed to kind of help. So that's the idea behind. Like it's basically an extremist keto diet, but with like everything fun cut out. That's why I'm probably why I went back to cigarettes, just because I need some kind of stimulation to like just survive. All right. Uh, just like snorting, just like like crushing up, just crushing up coffee beans and snorting them, like just to stay alive. That's actually worth sitting with for a second, since it can. Okay, so what did it say? Yes, exactly. You got it. Whichever code the script is attached to is the one at the group's axon. There's no separate target you specify. There's no target you specify. It's always implicitly this node right here, where this line of code lives. So if your crawler unit has a script attached to it, and that script calls add to group units inside ready, is that specific crawler instance joining the group, not some other node, not the scene root, not anything else. If you have 20 crawlers in your game, each one has its own copy of that script running, and each one calls add to group units independently for itself when it becomes ready, meaning all 20 end up in the group. Each one each one is its own separate member. That's actually worth sitting with for a second, since it connects back to something important. This is why call group units deselect can reach and deselect all your units with one line, because each individual unit registered itself into that same shared group, even though they're all separate node instances running the same script independently. Um, uh, it sounds like you are saying that each individual unit is running its own script. Would that not make the game slow if we end up with hundred of units? Question mark. I cut out booze. That's a good one to cut out. Cut out booze. The booze thing is a nice like slippery slope to other bad ideas. The booze is a good one to cut out in general. That's a good one to cut out. It's in itself is like it can be chill, but like it like just opens portals to other bad ideas like immediately. Cigs and painkillers 5 months ago. Oh really? I'm going to keep the energy drinks as my sole bad habit. Yeah, those are hard to give up. Those are hard to give up. I would if I had to, says Misery. Nice. Um, Good question, and it's actually something you've already touched on in a project you had previously discussed, that your separation movement system has performance ceiling around. No, we didn't. I specifically asked the thing that I don't want to run a game with only 100 units or whatever. Like I said, I wanted like potentially we're gonna go into hundreds of units in the game, and now it's like remember how we? No, we didn't talk about that. I specifically said this is gonna be a lot of units game. Good question. Is actually something you've already touched on in the project. You previously discussed that your separation movement system has a performance ceiling. And it's gaslighting me saying that I said it. Before needing spatial partitioning for anything beyond that. Select. Yeah, we'll deal with that. That is fixable though. That is fixable. Selection grouping is related but separate concerns. So let's think through on its own. Each unit running its own script instance isn't inherently expensive part. Godot is built around exactly this pattern. Many nodes, each with their own script running independently. So having hundreds of nodes, each with a script attached, is normal, not exotic. What actually cost what actually costs performance is what work happens every frame, not how many scripts exist. A few things worth knowing. Ready only runs once per unit. Blah, blah, blah. Group membership itself is cheap to store. Godot maintains groups internally as basically a lookup list, so being in a group isn't running any code per frame, it's just a tag. Call group is where cost could show up. When you call it, Godot loops through every member of that group and calls the given method on each. For something like deselect, which only fires occasionally on a click, not every frame, looping through hundreds of units per click is trivial. Nowhere near the cost of something running through every single frame, like your separation movement calculations. So the real cost driver isn't each unit has its own script. It's how much work does each unit script do and how often. Your existing bottleneck separation force of 150 to 150 units is expensive because it runs every physics frame for every unit, checking against other nearby units. Selection logic, by contrast, if it's event driven, it only runs when a click happens, so it barely registers by comparison. Does that distinction? Yes. Okay. I cut out boost, SIGs, and beta. I'm going to keep energy drinks. Nice. So yes, that makes sense. Okay. I was just wondering because it kind of sounded crazy, but I guess that's how it goes. That's a genuinely useful lens to carry forward since it can help you reason about any new system you add to the game. Ask, does this run every frame or only on events before worrying about performance? Yes, let's do drills. Yes. Picking the drill back up. Okay, write a script that. Okay, so let's write. This is the fun part. Write a script that adds a node to the group units. Adds the node to the group units. Okay, now I'm starting to understand what it's talking about when it's saying add the node, because add to group is inside of this node. It's adding this node to the group units. It's starting to like I just have to say it like 40 times and then I'm like, oh, okay, like I get it. Even though it says what it says, I still don't get it until I like go through it many times. Okay. When using ready, we use ready. Okay. Then define the deselect function. Okay, I have a question. Then defines a deselect function that sets selected to false. Okay. We'll because I know how to write it. I think selected bool equals false. And then we have function deselect set selected to function deselect, and then it just sets the variable selected. I can spell selected equals false. So this has to start as true. True. Okay. I feel like it's asking me to write the exact same script. I guess it just wants. I did tell it to make me write the same script over and over again sometimes, but I wish it would change it up a little bit. I don't get stuff that straight away because it's unfamiliar language used to describe very abstract concepts. Yeah, coding is kind of hard to approach because like it's like you have a big box and it's awkward to lift. And then like inside of it are like something alive and it's running around. So the weight keeps shifting around as you're trying to lift it. And that's what coding feels like. That's why it's like such a nightmare. You don't even know how to approach it. Outside the fact that you can like read the words are in English. Like you can read the words and you know what the symbols mean. And so that's sort of approachable, but it's like it's a like an alien language outside of that. So it's hard to like begin to grasp the shape of how to even approach like how do I like you know what I mean? That's sort of the issue there. And if you're dumb, that doesn't help. Like if you're dumb, that's like super that's gonna super not be helpful. Okay. So we did everyday words used very specific. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like it's deceptive because they sound like words I've heard of before, but they're like very very specific, and some of them like they're not what you think they are. Like right here you have variable selected. So you have this box that stores information, and we store false in this box. But then here we turn this selected variable to true. This sound is deceptive because this is function select, but it's not the same thing. It's not related at all. And then it prints selected, but because it's inside of these like little quotes, that's a string. So this is just a string. So that has nothing to do with either one of the other selected. But then we have plus str, which turns the result, which will be true, into a string. But see, like you're seeing the same word like 5 times. And so you're like, what? But like they're all different things. And it's just headache inducing to learn and painful. So that's why it's and like I said, it's just for me it's really difficult, but some people just it's like this is like being in water for a fish. So okay. Write a script that adds a node to the group units. When it's ready using ready. Wait, let me read that again. I think I did it right because it's asking me to write the same thing again. So I think. Oh no, it wants then defines a deselect function that sets selected to false. Okay. Um. Okay, let's just enter that. That's correct. Attempt 2 out of 3. I do have a question about your phrasing. Sorry, your phrasing. You say um when it's ready using ready that defines. You say using ready. Oh, when it's ready, you using ready, then defines a. Hmm. I do have a question about your phrasing. I guess never mind. Never mind. I misread what it's saying. It actually does make sense when I read it carefully. Coolio, welcome. Coolio, welcome, man. This is the not fun stream. I'm today. I'm just learning. I can't even I can't have music on just because I need my like all the attention for this. Coolio. I will say I feel like I have had a breakthrough. I will say I feel like I've had a breakthrough. So bright stream today. Such a bright stream. I wonder if there's edit. I wonder if there's a dark mode. Project customize. Is there a dark mode? Actually, let me go back to one quick question. Does this flawed app have a dark mode. Oh, you mean the room? I see. Sorry, I misunderstood. It does log in and click your name initials. Settings, appearance. Hold on, I don't want to be in my settings just because I don't want my address or something to show up because I'm sure I had to put that in there. I don't want that on there. Sorry, it's gonna have Claude is gonna be this like this. Just because I don't want to go into settings because it like shows your like stuff and I'm like no. Um. Oh yeah. Uh. Okay. Let's just continue with the drill. Let's just do one more attempt here. Okay. Write a script that adds a node. Okay, it's the same thing. Write a script that adds the node to the group units. The node that it's in to the group units. Function through ready, right? Ready. Add to group units. Oh, it has to be, it's a string, I guess, right? Units is a string. Um, when it's, okay, units. And we have, then defines a deselect function, deselect, uh, selected equals, it wants to go to false. So we need that variable var selected bool equals true, starts as true. This turns it to false, and this just on start adds this node to the group units. I think I understand. I think I understand correctly what is happening here. Okay, let's put that in, guys. Let me go get some water. It's getting hella hot in here. I need a fan. I need a fan and water. Right. Uh, let me go get a cup of water. I'll be right back, guys. Alrighty, I'm back. Hopefully, you know what? I guess I can turn the music on. It's just that I was afraid I was gonna. Not that I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but um, let's do coding music for programmers. There we go. Damn, some dark ambience. All right. That's correct. Three up, three in a row. Nicely done. You've got the full picture. You got full picture, solid group membership, deselect mechanism, and how they connect through call group. Want to keep building? Maybe tackle select alongside add to group in one combined script or take a break. Let's keep going. Okay. Here's the next prompt, combining everything so far into one script. Music with no vocal is meant to assist with concentration. Yeah. And I think it does when I get locked in, but usually it does quite the opposite for me. I have, I need Lotar, what the? Got it out. Lotar. Thank you so much for the raid, man. If you want to share your socials or whatever you want to do. I'm learning GD script today. It's a little bit of a different show. I'm trying to do horse blinders and like understand more so that I can go from zero programmer to novice. You're watching, yeah. I'm obviously using Claw. I'm even using Claw to learn because it's so good at teaching. I feel it's the best tool I've ever found for learning because it'll just keep trying to explain it. Here's the next prompt, combining everything so far into one script. I would recommend using IDE like VS Code, Visual Studio. You know what? I have downloaded Visual Studio. The issue is I had to do a third-party plugin for GD script because that's like the one language they don't have. And so I ended up in the situation where I was like, I'll just, because all I wanted was, I was using Notepad before this, just Microsoft Notepad. I wanted dark mode. It doesn't have dark mode, so I'm like, I need something that has dark mode. I downloaded the Visual Studio Code, and it didn't like it because it doesn't have GD script on there. And it would have been cool if it did, because then it can actually show you how your program would run. That would be cool. But yeah, I just wanted. This is basically Notepad with dark mode is how I'm using it more so than. But yeah, that's why I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of like downloading things. So I just kind of threw the towel in. I'm like, this is good enough for now. We'll figure. I can always write in. I can always write in here if I really wanted to get results, like in Godot itself, if I wanted to see how it would play out. But right now, I'm just using Claude to tell me if what I'm writing is correct. It doesn't help us interrupting you. No, it's totally fine. That's why, I turned on the stream by myself, and if people are talking, that's part of the fun. Sure, it's less efficient, right? Of course, it would be more efficient to sit in a dark room in front of a textbook and do push-ups all day, but that's not what life is all about, So I can always just kind of learn quietly by myself later. So... so even if this is like, I lose like 60% efficiency, it's still fun to stream or whatever, talk to my buddies. Apparently, the built-in editor in recommended in VS Code with Godot tool extension is the next best. Apparently, the built-in editor recommended, but VS Code with Godot tool extension is. Sliding gesture GDI script, GD script. I think you can add it to VS. You can, but I'm too scared to go and download third-party plugins from some website and then have a virus on my computer. I'm just like, nope. Stop right there. Stop right there. Gives you auto-completion and warnings and stuff like that. I didn't really understand what you said. You said apparently the built-in editor is recommended. Right. But VS Code with the Godot tool extension. Right, tool extension is the best thing. Yeah, if anyone has a safe link or whatever, to download that, I will. I just don't want to risk it myself and get myself a bug on my computer. Like, even when I was downloading the Notepad, it was like in Ukrainian, and I'm like, oof. Nothing smells like I'm about to download a virus like seeing Eastern European languages. Just kidding. My ancestors are from over there, so it's fine. I'm just making a joke. Okay. Okay, what is it asking me? Write a script with a variable var selected bool equals true. Simple enough. Function ready. Function to add the node to the group units. Add to and then a select function select the set selected to true. Okay, so we change variable selected to wait. A select functions this set selected to true, but didn't it start as true? Oh, let's I guess we'll do deselect first. Deselect function deselect selected to false. Selected to true and deselect. I feel like it's asking me to write it in an order that would be redundant, or am I just crazy? Select, select And we change this select to true is what it's asking me to write, right? Available as extension in VS Code with no external links. Sliding gesture says available as extension. Okay, well let's open it up. When you say that, what does that mean? Where do I go to find extensions? The extension sidebar in VS Code, that's what I would use. Okay, so I have VS Code open. Now I have like 4 programs open that are code. I don't know what I just clicked on. Okay. Left side has a button on it at the bottom with the boxes. Left side has a button on it at the bottom with the bottom. I see a cog on the left side, 4 squares. Too much bottom. Okay. Extensions. Okay. Extensions, and then you guys said what was the thing called? VS Code, that's what what thing do I need to type in? Godot? Okay, just type in Godot. Go.tools, C, Go.files, Go.net tools, JavaScript, Go.format. I'm guessing Go.tools, right? Go.tools, okay. Sliding gesture, well, I didn't know you were like smart. What the? I didn't even know you were, I didn't know you were into this stuff. Okay, so install. Auto update, yeah. Trust publisher install. Yeah, let's YOLO. I mean, it's installed, right? It sounds like it's installed. So let's do file, new file. Never mind, I don't need a new file. The way I see it, if it's malicious, I'm not the first one to be screwed by it, and stuff like it gets taken down pretty quick. Right. Yeah, I usually if I download any app, I usually like look for the one that's been downloaded 5 million times. Then I read through the reviews and I'm like, yeah, okay. So file. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I've never used this before. It's throwing me off a little bit. How do I get back to the source control, run debug, go.tools? How do I close this out so I can go back to right here. So we downloaded it, right? But I don't know if I'm in that mode. I don't know. I downloaded it, but am I running in that mode right now? Yeah, I know how it is. All the setup was a big hurdle for me too when I started programming stuff. Dude, it's so scary. Not only is programming scary, but it requires even more technical knowledge on top of that. I think I should recognize based on file extension. It should recognize based on file extension. So like when I start, are you saying like when I start writing, it'll know? Should I select a language? Control KM. So now we have go dot, right? In here, go dot. Or it's called GD script, right? GD script. So now we're writing I should be able to write in GD script now. And I think the advantage of using Visual Studio or whatever is the fact that you can is the fact that it will oh, man, I love dark whatever dark mode. Although I don't know how to. Okay, I guess that just goes away. Okay. We'll just start writing from here. So we'll do var selected bool. Let me move that over. It seems like I'm way off. I'm way off. I don't want the. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should close this out somehow. Yeah, I guess I'll have this. I'm not sure what the go.tools. Open a scene to see a preview of a structure. Okay, I guess we don't really need that right now. Also, this is the sort of stuff that you can ask from AI pretty easily. That's how I learned to set everything up a few years ago. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Okay. Write a script with a variable selected. Bool starting as true. Equals true. True. Function ready? I like how it already, like, you can even talk about all the stuff you mentioned, not being comfortable with safety, etc., and it can talk you through that too. Right. Yeah, it's incredibly helpful, like in that kind of stuff, especially. Like I said, I think the best thing about like using like Claude or something is that it like a teacher has a limit of patience before they snap, and Claude will just go for week after week after week, and it's like it'll just keep trying until you get it. So that is like the big plus there, right? Write a script with a variable selected, function that adds a node to the group. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, I'm not used to Visual Studio yet. I haven't used it a lot. I'm sure I can adjust all that stuff, like how much of it it's trying to write for me, because it's giving me suggestions, and then I can like hit a button and it'll just write it out, which is convenient if you're like super experienced. But right now it's actually kind of distracting. It's fine. I'll get used to it or whatever. But I kind of like that it's doing it. It's just I have a hard time. It's giving me disorientation. Okay. So we did true function, ready function that adds the node to the group. Add. Oh, I really like how it suggests, dude. I really like how it suggests group units. Good to habit to keep one topic per conversation though, and give it as much context as possible. True. My prompts questions are sometimes like 45 minutes of essay read. Really? Press tab to apply. Yeah. The only thing I don't like sometimes is like when I have to edit something. Well, this is working like a traditional editor, like Microsoft Word. But sometimes like some of these things will have like, you'll select the letter you want to change, but it'll select the letter, not a space between them. And you'll hit like space, but then it'll delete the B. And I'm like, I said space. Not, like, you know how like old editors and like 80s, it does that mode where like it's like an old computer where like the editing is like oddly specific, and you can't like, you have to like rewrite everything or maybe I'm just too dumb to understand how that type of editor works, but I like this, the traditional way. I can actually understand, like, this is where my thing is. This is a space. It's not randomly, like, deleting the Y. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's... Insert key? Yeah, remind me never to press the insert key. Where is that? I'm gonna find the insert key and I'm gonna rip it out of my keyboard so that never happens again. Future Oil says, hello, fellow space travelers. Nice. This definitely is like, this is like very good music for programming. It's like chill, chill program music. And you know what I also need is I need a clanky keyboard. I need like a super clanky, nice keyboard so I can do that. That and like a really loud, normal hard drive that will just make old computer noises next to me and fans spinning up to create like the programming ambience of like early 90s, late 80s computer ambience. And just, yeah, you know what I mean? Just hard drive noise, random hard drive noises and clanky keyboards in the background. That way I can, like, really focus. I think I'm gonna have some more dinner. All right, buddy. I totally understand. I had oh my god, I had some anchovies the other night. Dude, it was so good. I think I'm the only one, like, I'm the only one that's, like, crazy enough to, like, just straight up eat anchovies without any kind of, like, support from bread. Just ate a whole little can of anchovies. It was so salty, but I love it. I'm a super fishy like, I love fishy stuff. Okay, let's try to code. A select function. Man, I feel like I'm a real programmer. I feel like I'm a real programmer with all of this like dark mode and like Visual Studio, whatever. It's like maybe I should be a programmer. Look at me hitting buttons on a keyboard. Rodrigo, welcome. This fishing. Oh, dude, I love fish. I ordered myself that dried fish from Eastern Europe, so hopefully it arrives. I think it's supposed to get here on a little bit later, like in the month. I know we're at the end of the month, kind of, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. Select function that sets selected. It sets our selected to true. I'm gonna do it exactly how it says. I'm not gonna experiment. I'm gonna do it exactly how it says. And a deselect function deselect. Man, I really like this editor now. I'm glad you guys put me onto this, because like I'm really... It already wrote selected false. What the? How does it know? How did it know I was gonna do that? Dude, how did it know? Dude, this is like some computer magic. I guess it makes sense that it would be like... That it'd be like, clearly you did true, so now it would be false. But my mind is kind of blown that it just did that. Ever tried okonomiyaki? I did, and put bonito flakes on top. Was so good. I honestly don't know what either one of those things is. Okonomi sounds Japanese, and bonito sounds maybe Spanish. Did you mix and match? It sounds like you like were experimenting. Yeah, no. Anything with like fish, like sign me up. Even that rotting Swedish stuff that they eat, like when they eat like goat heads on Christmas Eve or whatever they do, like even that stuff, like I'm down. That's correct. All 4 pieces are exactly right. Joining group. Okay. No, hold on. Let me ask though, why did we do selected true and then said function select true? Is that not redundant? Good catch, is worth pausing on since it's a real question about design, not just syntax. You're right that it looks redundant on the surface. The variable starts as true and then select also sets it to true, but you're serving different purposes even though they produce the same value in this particular drill. Var selected bool true is starting state. What this unit's value is the moment it's created before anything else happens to it. Function select to true is reusable action, something that can be triggered again and again. Function select triggered again and again anytime later in the game, every time the player clicks select the unit. In this drill specifically, yes, the initial value and what select does happen to match, so nothing changes if you call select right after creation, but in your actual game, this combo probably doesn't make as much sense. But in your actual game, this combo probably doesn't make as much sense. Think about it. Selected starts as true. Every unit was spawned already selected, which isn't the behavior you actually want. You'd want units to start deselected and only becomes selected when the player actually clicks them. So this is a good moment to notice the prompt I gave you starting true was really just for drilling mechanics of writing functions correctly, not necessarily reflecting what your real game logic should have. Want to try a version where selected? No, let's keep going. Maybe run it and check how it works. How do you run it? How do you run? Can you run it? Sliding gesture, how do you do that? What button do I hit? Run and debug. Joe Dini says hi pal. Hey pal, I appreciate you saying hi pal. Maybe run it. Sorry, but I'm not familiar with Godot. I'm a C. Are you really? It must be so painful watching like a new person learn. Open a file which can be debugged or run. To customize run, open a folder, create a debug using a terminal command or an interactive chat. Okay, so what's the terminal command? Run. At line 1, chart Copilot debug your command here run plus the operator is reserved for future use. I appreciate you saying hi pal. Hey, I appreciate it. I double appreciate. So hold on, it just broke my brain a little bit. Debug using a terminal command or in an interactive. Where's interactive chat? Oh, start debug. Yes. Oh, is that another AI? Is that interactive command?
you guys know what I noticed? I was watching a official story trailer for Gears of War, and I was watching the devs like talk about the sexy behind the scenes like what's under the hood kind of stuff, and they were like blah blah blah, like all of these shaders and then he's like, we're in order to get the gear to look a certain way, they're like, we're using machine learning for like the armor, like in order to have a certain how should I say it, like to basically to make it look a certain way, but they avoid like they're catching on. People hate AI and they're like avoiding that word. They're like, yeah, machine learning and all this like stuff. But like you can tell they did not want to say that word. They're like, nah, it's like just machines are learning stuff. But it doesn't sound like they're using AI for like the programming or anything. It's just they're using for like the tech, like they're using AI to refine the textures or something like that. Is kind of like what they were saying. Is they're like implementing AI into like the texture rendering or something like that. I couldn't exactly understand what they were saying, but it was interesting. You use terminal in order to execute it. You use the terminal in order to execute. Okay, so this is the terminal. You said you use the terminal. I understand that part. How do I do that? Why do I need to type into the terminal to do that? If I don't want to use Jodini, are you still there? Replace replace. I'm not sure what you're saying. Replace it where? Type the command and press enter. Right, which type command into here, right? Which command do I need to do? Run debug? For example, if you write is and press enter, is okay. Or does it have to be in quotes? I don't get it. So you're saying I have to put my script into here and run it? Is that what you're saying? Like you have to run it through here like this? Oh. I don't know what command is. Okay, never mind. Let's use the interactive chat. That sounds like it's like a little. I don't think any of that is going to work. Yeah, it sounds like that's what Visual Studio is supposed to do. VS Code user. Shown command palette. Use the start debugging command to start the debugger. How do I type into the start debugging command? Run the code that I wrote in the main. What is it gonna say? I'll check whether this code contains a Godot project or whether Godot executable is available. Then launch a project main scene if possible. No. Give me 1 second. Actually, Godot Tools does have a debugger for GD script, but it's not really useful until you have something more substantial. Right. Well, I'm using Claude to do the debugging. Like basically, I'm using Claude to do that. Like I just type the thing, I copy it in there, and it's like, this is what you did wrong. Even though it kind of makes mistakes sometimes, like it can miss things.
I'll check whether this folder contains a Godot project or whether Godot executables available, then launch the project main scene if possible. List project files and check for Godot executables. I don't think that that's like in VS Code. Press F5 to run the configured Godot project main scene if you want to run only the current use F6. If no Godot launch configuration exists.
Of low tech. So debug console. What I thought it was gonna do, like, you write code and then you hit a button, run, and it would give you like the results of that code. It would like run the script, but I guess that's not what it does. So please start a debug session to evaluate expressions. I don't know what that means. Start a debug session. Oh. Is that Godot? No, yeah, I'm making a game in Godot, but I'm just using Claude to practice. Right, Godot path, press enter, maybe it works. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. We'll just practice with Claude. I'll just type the code into Claude and it'll know whether I wrote it correctly or not. I'm sure it sounds like it has a debugger or something. It sounds like it has it, but let's turn that off for now, just so I have more real estate on my screen. Okay. Okay. Write a script with a variable. So I guess it's asking me to do the same. Variable selected bool equals true. Again with a function. Yeah, but probably you need Godot editor, not VS Code. Yeah, but in like when I do stuff in Godot, like it already does that. Like it doesn't. If I go to like scripts, like when I run the game, it has a debugger right here. Hold on. It has a debugger right here. Like Godot already had. I just don't want to write the stuff in Godot and then accidentally like move something. Oops, sorry. I don't want to accidentally move something. And end up in a pickle. That's why I don't touch Godot unless I guess I could make a new file, but it doesn't matter. Claude just does the same. Claude debugs for, it does the same things if I had a debugger. So we're like looking for a solution for a problem that doesn't like exist. Okay. So it would be convenient if I could run this and it would just tell me, like, it'd be like, oh, you did print line this, and then executes this. It would be cool, but it just doesn't. I don't get why it's not doing it. Why it doesn't have a available workspace folder needs to be resolved. Please open a. It sounds like I need to attach this to a folder or something. Best way to learn programming. Best way. What's the best way? Like, are you saying this is the best way? I feel like that's what it's good at, is teaching you. You know what I mean? I guess there's always, it's kind of like this weird drug thing where you can like use Claude to learn programming, but it has the issue of like it can solve everything for you, so you can just not learn. So that's the issue. But I'm trying to learn because I want to understand stuff. so my brain doesn't just add and what's the word? Entropy into oblivion from being just oversaturated with entertainment forever. Okay. True. Wait, sorry. Function ready. Add group to units. Wow. Because its autocomplete is so good here, it's almost trivial to rewrite the code for practice. Like rewriting the same code to like memorize it, it's like trivial because it just remembers everything for you. The best way is starting with C, making small programs, and then going to bigger projects, and then learning who. Why do you say C is the best to learn? Why do you say that? I am genuinely asking because I wanted to make a game, and so I started making a game. It said we use GD script, and so I started learning that. But why? I don't want to go down the road of like. I don't want to go down the road of like learning things that I don't need to like learn necessarily. Like I will learn C+ or whatever later if it's like a thing that absolutely has to be done. But I don't want to be like let's go on a new quest, even though I don't have to go on that quest to like make this. You know what I mean? Sliding gesture. I usually suggest starting with something like Hello World project where you can find instructions how to configure env and check results. Okay, so where are we? Add to group units. Ready function add node to group units. Select function that sets selected to true. Selected to true. Function deselect. Selected variable to false. C is a small language where you can learn not only the basics, but a lot of the most important things in programming in general. If you skip those, let me tell you, you're gonna be lost forever. I thought C was like kind of a heavy. I thought C was always like kind of like the master level, like that's like the real big boy stuff. So I'm like, I was told that this is an actual like an easier language, and I'm like, oh, really? Because I'm having a hard time. Like I'm struggling, and so the thing is the way I see it is like, let's say I stick with programming in general and I keep developing stuff, I'm gonna eventually learn all the stuff. I get like it's better to learn from the like fundamentals, like build up your whatever, but it's fine. I think everything's going fine. If I have to learn the other stuff, I'll just focus on that for a few months and then like I will learn it. Bro, why is supposed to variables let x equal y, let y equal, let x equal y, let y equal x equal 2, x equal 2, and y equals, and then just empty brackets. Rust kicked me so hard. But how can y, so you're saying y can mean x2 and empty? Is that, am I understanding that correctly? Like Rust can mean two things, like Rust can have things where it means two things at the same time. Like X means 1, Y means X2. So far I'm following, and then Y is also empty. I don't get it. The thing is, learning GD script without knowing basics is a bad idea. Well, you got to start somewhere. A lot of good things started with bad ideas. Anyway, Slipknot fan, what's up? I'm not overly worried about going down the wrong road, because the wrong road will eventually teach you that you're on the wrong path, right? And then you're like, okay, I should have been doing this, and now things are really making sense now that I've refocused my efforts. So I'm not worried about it. It's totally like, you know what I mean? Like, I think taking 6 months to a year to chip away at it, like 1-2 hours a day, is fine from zero. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, but keep in mind, I'm not smart, so it might take a lot longer than that. Like, I'm just saying, I've been at this for a while, and it's embarrassing how little I've understood. So, you know what I mean? This is a rough uphill battle. If you can't tell why learning C Rust would be useful right now, it's not important. If you can't tell why learning C Rust would be useful, it's not important. Oh, good, thank God. GD script is useful right now, which is super important for motivation. I think Flotar is on the right page, because he's making sense. You're smart. You keep going if you like this dude. Thank you. I will keep going if I do like. I actually do really like it now that I'm kind of over that like initial hill where I'm like things are starting to like kind of come together, and like, so it's exciting. Like I'm kind of, the Lego pieces are starting to click a little bit, and I'm like, okay, this is like, because for a while I was really like, I don't think I will like really understand anything. Like I just was like at a point where I'm like, I don't get any of this. But so we'll see. You know, if I dedicate bigger block of time to this daily, especially when I free up my time and I really kind of get into this, I think things are gonna flourish. But right now, if you're struggling, consider doing classes one-on-one with someone else. No, I don't want to torture another human being. I don't want to bring another human being into this, because they're going to be frustrated, and it's like, I don't want to do that to another person. I'll just suffer by myself. It's fine. C is good for a start if you want to really learn that. Yeah. I hear, there's a difference between C and C++, right? Those are different things. Is C like older or something like that? Isn't it like older infrastructure? Okay, let me focus, just because we've been talking for a while. Let me try write some stuff here, so I don't it's basically asking me to drill, like work. I'm kind of drilling. It's asking me to write the same thing. That's correct. 2 out of 3. So I'll just rewrite the same thing, I guess, unless it changed something. So write a script with a variable var select bool equals true function ready function ready, yes, and then add the node to the group units, add to group units. That part makes sense to me. So whichever node is handling this script, we're throwing that node into the box of units, right? If I understand correctly. See, I have to like say it to myself over and over again. And then we have function select. See, it's almost trivial, because I try to use my memory to rewrite stuff, but it's writing it for me, because it's almost like trivial now, because it's so good at like auto-completing everything. I think for someone that's really good at this stuff, it's probably really helpful to be fast, but for someone that needs to be like remembering it, it's probably a hindrance, because I'm going to be like, if you set me down in front of an empty page, I wouldn't be able to like bring the information back up. Select. part of the fun of this was like trying to write it without the syntax errors and like remembering to put the two little dots at the end of the thing. And now that it's doing it for me, I almost feel like, of course I'm gonna write it correctly because it's kind of doing it for me. You know what I mean? That's sort of the issue. I'm sure I can probably go into the settings. I'll probably do that. I'll go into the settings and turn off the autocomplete stuff to like get my brain more active into it because it's doing too much of the heavy lifting right now. I think a beginner should be sitting there and like remembering every little dot and period that needs to go. I think only case for changing to another language is once you know one language, you kind of know them all easier, and Python Unity tutorials are way more common. There's some really good free courses. Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. That's correct, 3 in a row. The whole combined script is locked in solid now. That's a real milestone. You've now drilled every piece that makes your actual unit selection system work. The variable group registration and both toggle functions all matching what real crawler script would need. Want to keep pushing forward? Yes. And maybe connect, select how a unit actually gets clicked in the first place, since we've only covered deselect via unhandled input or swap. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's take the next real step. So far we've built how a unit reacts once told to select, deselect. Let's take the next real step. So far we've built how a unit reacts once told to select, deselect. But we haven't touched how a unit actually detects that the player clicked on it specifically as opposed to clicking on an empty space, which triggers deselect all. Godot has a built-in mechanism for this. Nodes that have a collision shape, like your character body 2D units, can define a special callback called input event, which fires specifically when a click lands on that node's collision shape, different from unhandled input. Let me reread that. That fried my brain a little bit. Like your character body 2D unit can define a special callback called input event, which fires specifically when a click lands on a node's collision shape. Okay, different from unhandled input, which handles clicks generally across the whole game. Here's the prompt. Okay, let's do it. Challenge mode. Write a function named on input. Oh my god, it knows the whole thing already. The mouse event, button index, button left. Dude, it already knows. Right, because we downloaded the thing, obviously, so it knows. But that's crazy, dude. That's so crazy that like that so much of the memory is offset. Oh man, that's kind of cool though, because I always struggle to remember like blocks of code that you have to remember for like the input stuff. Okay, I'm gonna try to remember it. On input function, right? It just adds on input event. That takes 3 parameters. It already has the viewport event shape IDX. Okay. Viewport. I'm really bad at typing. Event shape IDX. Why do you add three same blocks for select. I wrote them just a drill, just to like go through it and like think about the steps. I guess like I'm trying to think through the steps of how it would be like, you know, ready fires once, adds the node to the units group, select, turns the variable to true, deselect, turns that variable to false. It's just to get me to be able to read the code, like I'm reading through the code again. So that's why basically. It's how I told Claude to teach me. I told it like when we do a thing, we have to do it a few times because I won't remember. Function on input event, viewport event shape IDX. Okay, we did that. Inside it, it checks if event is a mouse button event. Okay, I remember that part. If event is, I really need to turn that off. The autocomplete is like ruining my experience. You can try selected. Yeah, one second. Let me I am using Visual Studio and it's doing a lot of auto complete for me, and I need to, and I want to try and remember stuff. How do I turn off most of the auto complete in the settings? Sorry, it's just doing too much of the. That's a solid instinct. Autocomplete can quietly do a lot of your remembering for you without you noticing. A couple of things worth knowing first. Then I'll point you towards the settings. Quick clarification: are you using VS Code with Go. Yes, or actual Visual Studio? Bigger set. This is, what am I using? What is this thing called? Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. Good, that narrows it down. In VS Code, the autocomplete behavior is controlled by a few separate things. You can turn off just the parts that are doing your remembering for you while keeping useful stuff like error highlighting. Here's how to get there. Open settings. Oh. Settings. In the search bar at the top. Fuck. I don't know. I don't get it. Clearly, that's not it. Oh, okay. You'll see editor quick suggestions. This controls automatic pop-up, but it doesn't. I can't get there. Settings. In the search bar at the top of the settings tab. Yeah, this thing right here. So type quick suggestions. That didn't work. You see editor quick suggestions. This controls it clearly isn't like how that works. Also, start suggest on trigger character and uncheck editor suggest on trigger characters. This stops suggestions from popping up automatically when you type things like. If you want to go further and disable, no, it. Oh my god, the quick suggestions is not finding anything. That's odd. It should show up. Check in the. Check you're in the right tab after. So settings. Let me do this. That's usually like when it starts to goof up. I do this. I do this. Oh, it won't let me. Yeah, whenever you click off the thing, it goes away. So I was trying to show it like, is this what you mean? Because then it goes, oh no, not that. I meant something else. Keyboard shortcuts, extensions, settings. Unless it meant in here. Oh, did it mean in here? Quick suggestions. Control delete. Quick suggestions. Modify. Editor. Controlled for typing in comments, strings, and other code. Quick suggestions can be configured to show as ghost text. The suggest widget. Also be aware that edit, suggest, and trigger character settings. Okay, but like we're select a suggestion only when triggering. I don't know what the difference between those is, but I'm gonna go with let's go when trigger character. Let's go with, now that we know where it is, default skip commands, use inline completions. If true, Emmet will use inline completions to suggest expansions to prevent non-inline completion item provider for showing up as often while this setting is true. Whatever. I think I got it. Let's do it. If event is, oh, there we go. Input. There we go. Input event mouse button okay, problem solved. Okay, let's go back to back to drill. Good. Okay, write a function. Takes reprint of viewport event shape IDX. Inside it, checks if the event is a mouse button event and if it's pressed. Okay, if event is input mouse event end event pressed. Oh, it does the automatic thing. It does the thing automatic. It does the little. That's kind of cool. Checks if the event mouse button and if it's pressed. If both are true, call select. If those are true, we do select, and then we need a function select. MIT emphasizes starting with computational thinking, problem decomposition, and practical fundamentals before driving heavy into syntax. Well, I'm not smart enough to be part of MIT, so. Okay, write a function named on. Okay, so it's a. If it's pressed, if both are true, call select. Right, so we have function select. And then do I just do pass because it didn't say what to do with it, right? I guess we could do select. It didn't ask for this, but I'm gonna do it. True. Select true, and then that's our variable, and we're gonna do variable selected false. Man, this is so cool. Parse is false. Function select. It gets called by our input event. So if we click on a specific thing, right? If mouse button is a mouse button and it is pressed, it calls the function select. Select turns a variable to true. Very close. Oh my god, I thought I did it right. Very close, solid on the parameter list. Type check and calling select in the right place. One small issue: select at the end has a straight colon. Oh, my bad. No reason for that. Colons belong. Yeah, I know. That was my bad. Colons belong after things that open a new block. I thought colons were for like to signify that it's an ended state. Like, colons belong after things that open a new block. If right. If function else and select, here is just a plain function call, not a definition or a conditional, so it should end with nothing extra, just select. I guess let's just submit the same thing, but that's correct. Attempt 1 out of 3. Okay. Okay, just try to do that again. But a function, okay. Named on input event. It has viewport event APX. Good work, thank you, man. Definition body. Oh, the colon means you're saying putting a colon at the end means it's the right. Oh wait, no, wait. Yeah. You're saying it's a definition body, right? You have a definition for function, and after colon you have body. Right. Like after the colon, I'm writing the body of the function, right? Is that what you mean? Same for if, for, etc. Yeah. On input event that takes 3 parameters, viewport event shape IDX, and inside it, it checks if the event if event is input event mouse button. By the way, the only reason I remember this if input event mouse button and event pressed is because I repeated that like 100 times at a different time when I was like practicing like the repetition. That's the only reason I remember that from just the top of my head, because like I redid it so many times. You call a function using a definition. You call a function using a definition. So would in this select, and then these, what did they call I forget what they're called. Like this select here with these things, that would be the definite. Would that be the def? Because we used because this is what calls the function select here, right? This thing, is that what you're saying is the definition then? I'm guessing. Gotcha. Yeah, I do forget, the terminology is hard to remember. It really is. Especially for like dyslexia enabled people. It's like it all just like all the terminology just kind of shape shifts around in my head. Eventually I've, grasp it. Write a function. Okay, so we have on input event that takes 3 parameters, viewport, blah blah blah. We did that. We did if mouse button, if pressed. Inside it, if the event pressed, if both are true, call select. Select. And then how did we do it? Yeah, so, and then select changes the variables selected. True. Variable selected. Bool starts as false. One typo, event pressed. Event. Oh, I always do that. I always misspell event. Event. Okay. That's correct. Attempt pedal 2. Just repeat that one more time. Function. Let me ask you. I have a question. I have a question. Is onPut event a pre-built in Godot, or is that down dash just to mean it executes in itself? Good question. And this one actually a bit different from the pattern we've drilled so far. Worth being precise about. On input events itself is not a hard-coded engine callback the way ready or unhandled input are. Godot doesn't automatically know to call something named exactly on input event just because it sees that name sitting in your script, unlike ready, which fires no matter what. Here's the actual mechanism for a node with a collision shape, like a collision object 2D, which your character body 2D unit inherits from. Godot has a built-in signal called input event. Godot has a built-in input event. A signal is something a node can emit, broadcast when something happens. In this case, when a click lands on the node's collision shape, but a signal on its own doesn't do anything, it just fires. You have to connect it to a function for anything to actually happen in response. On input event is simply a conventional name Godot's editor suggests when you connect that signal through the Godot editor's UI. It's a naming pattern. On node signal name, not a reserved word. You could name that function literally anything, handle click, my function, whatever, as long as you connect it to the input event. As long as you connect it to the input event signal either through editor's node panel or in code with something like connect input event. So did you directly answer your question? The underscore here is just following that naming convention, mirroring how engine callbacks look, not a rule the engine forces. A real requirement is the signal connection, which is a separate step we haven't covered yet. I thought that the CryptTech says hello. Hey, CryptTech. So I thought the down dash meant that again remind me what that generally means when I see it. Quick recap, pulling together everything we've covered so far. The leading underscore has two distinct meanings depending on the context, and it's worth keeping them separate. On built-in engine callbacks ready process on handled input, the underscore is a part of a resolved is part of a reserved exact name Godot looks for automatically. These aren't optional conventions. Godot calls the specific names itself at specific moments. No connection needed. On signal handler functions, on input event, on button pressed, etc. The underscore is just a naming convention, not a rule Godot enforces. Oh, it's for me. These functions only run because you or the editor, where you connect a signal through UI, explicitly wired them up to a signal. The underscore here is a stylistic signal to you. Right. Okay, I remember now. That's just to let me know, you the reader, this function exists to respond to something. Gotcha. Okay. Not to be called direct. Okay. I keep forgetting that. Dude, I haven't been programming for a super long time, but for how many months I've been at it, I haven't gotten that good. Obviously, like I'm struggling with, yeah. So, not a long time, but it's not so much. It's been a while, but it's been like not that much time a day that I've dedicated to it. But I think most people would be further along had they dedicated the same amount of time. Let's just put it that way. But I just am refusing to give up, bro. Just refusing. There's no way I won't eventually learn this. On parameters, you don't plan to use function press signal. I have to accept this argument. Okay, great. So anyway, okay, back to the drill. I just keep forgetting that underscore means to me this function exists to respond to something. This function, yeah. I should have started earlier. I should have started programming earlier when my brain wasn't fried. Like, I mean in life, not today. Okay, I'm just gonna viewport event 8 IDX. Yes, sir. Never give up. The more struggling, the bigger the growth. I've recently had like a little bit of a breakthrough where like a lot of it kind of came together in my brain, but that took more time than I'd like to admit, to be honest. You know what? I think I'm less embarrassed to do this badly in front of people than drawing, because I feel like in drawing I was like expected to be good already, because I was like known to be good. But this, it's like I know I'm bad, and I'm just saying it ahead of time, just so you guys know. This is not like a super genius like channel. This is like you're watching somebody struggle. So, this is actually like easier psychologically for me to do this badly in front of people, because it's like nobody knows me for not, like, you know what I mean. I never claimed to be good at this, so it's like, as long as you understand that what you're watching is somebody fumble, then okay. Select and then function select does selected variable changes to, what is it? We did true. and then we do variable selected. Bool starts as false. Submit that to Claude, see what he says. I probably made a syntax error. 2 issues to catch. I hate that. I hate when it says I didn't do it right. Function select, missing the colon at the end. Dude, I always miss the colon at the end. Dude, I just can't. I can't write. I have 3 T's in here. What the? Sarah Giga, welcome. Oh my god, you are a hacker too? Yeah. Yeah. Hacker man over here. You got the click detection side working. Hi Yuri, how you doing? I'm doing great. Doing great. Good mood. I just decided to do like a little programming stream. In order to like, I feel like I'm more productive during streaming too, because like when I do this by myself, I kind of tend to go into like YouTube and like check my phone more often and all this kind of other stuff. So I feel like actually streaming is a good way to keep yourself honest when you're like doing something, because it's like this is like what I'm doing right now, right? So it's for me at least, that's how it works. Combine with a group, deselect work from earlier. You've basically built out both halves of your real selection system piece by piece. Want to keep going? Maybe learn how to actually connect input event signal. The piece we noted was still missing, or wrap it up. Want to learn how to actually connect input event signal. The piece we noted was missing. Yes, let's do that. Guys, I'm gonna go hook down a Siggy and I'll be back. I need a 5-minute break and I'll be right back. Thank you, coach. All right, break is over. I didn't know anything about technology. What are you doing? I'm learning to program in GD script. That's what I'm doing. I'm being told this is like the easy path. I find not to be so easy, but all right. Yeah. Let's connect it via code since it fits the pattern we've been drilling, and it keeps everything visible in the script rather than hidden in editor UI clicks. The mechanism inside ready, you call connect on the signal. Inside ready, you call connect on the signal, telling it which function to run when it fires. What are you learning to do exactly? Basically, like, let me show you what I'm basically learning the basics of code. But what I'm trying to do is like this is a game I'm making, right? I'm working on this game. But the problem is everything you see here in this game that I'm building, it's all vibe coded. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can read and understand the code that and program myself. That's what I'm trying to do, is essentially get my internal skill level up to where I can understand this functionally and write most of it and use Claude for edge cases instead of everything. So that's what I'm doing. Trust me, I also hate myself too for vibe coding. I hate myself too, but it's just I'm just too dumb to do it otherwise. That's why I'm doing this right now. I'm using Claude to learn. If I'm asking it to give me lessons that are pertain to the code, so that I can read through it and be like, okay, I understand what's going on. That's what I'm doing. I hope that answers your question. Pardon me? I don't know. Did I not did I stutter? Sorry. Um, I feel like I explained it pretty well. AAA for your game? Yeah, I'm learning for the game. Pardon me. I see it does. Nice. Uh, the mechanism. Freedom CG5. Do you know how to program? Are you a coder? You didn't start. No, I was just. I was being. I was. It was kind of a rude thing to say. I was just kidding. Inside ready, you call connect on the signal. I want to learn with. Oh, okay, yeah. Then yeah, just stick around. You're gonna learn with me. The mechanism inside ready, you call connect on the signal, telling it which function to run when it fires. The modern GD script 4 syntax uses something called callable, basically a reference to this function on this object. Callable, basically a reference to this function on this object, packaged up so it can be handled to connect. It looks like this. What country, Freedom? What country are you from? I'm just curious. Function ready. Add to group units. Add to group units. Connect. Input event. Whoa, this is getting complicated. Connect. Input event. Callable. Self on input event. Wow. Connect built-in method, again inherited from node, that wires a signal to a function. This is some complicated stuff here. A built-in method, again inherited from a node that wires a signal to a function. I think that's like when we were doing that. If you look at my like, there's examples of it. Like there's like these connected. I can't find it now, but oh, it disappeared. I don't get why it disappeared. It's like plugging a fork into a socket. Why did the little things disappeared when it's like the little doors that show you like what was connected that to a signal to like outside the code? It showed up for a second, but then it disappeared. I'm not really sure why it did that. It usually stays there. Right there. I don't know why it disappears, but you guys saw it for a second. I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's what it means by connecting the signals. I also don't fully understand that, but let's turn this off. I no longer need. I've advanced beyond Notepad. Me and my genius brain. Okay. Okay, connected. Oh yeah. Oh no, Mr. Forbes is talking to himself. It's a clear sign of being a programmer. Just murmuring to myself in a corner, shaking. A built-in method, again inherited from a node that wires a signal to a function. So I showed you guys what I think it is, but I'm not entirely sure. Input event, name of a signal you're listening for, built into collision object 2D, which your unit inherits from. Callable self on input event. Self means this node, and together this says call this node on input event. Function when the signal fires. Self means this node, and this says, and together this says call this node's input event. In connect, you describe the system how to react on event. In connect, you describe the system how it reacts on event. Okay. When event happened, it will call method. Callable self on input event. Self means this node, and together this says, okay. Here's the prompt. Combining what you already know with this new line. Man, that's a big scary line. I'm not sure I fully understand. I'm getting a little lost. Here's a prompt. Combining what you already know with this new line. Write a... I know that part. Function ready. I feel like it stepped into like big new territory here. Write a ready function that adds a node to the group of units. add what was it again? I forgot. Oh wait, you need to find possible events. Sorry, write a ready function that adds a node to the group units. I feel like I should know how to do this, because I already did it before. Add to group units, yeah. Add to group units. And connects the input event signal to the function on input event using callable self. Oh, it already kind of it wrote the thing it wants me to write. So same indentation. Connect. Input. Connects input event signal to a function name. Function named. So it connects input event. Sorry for being really slow here. To a function named on input event. Right. Using a callable self. Okay, so that's what that line does basically. Input event, comma, callable self. On input event. I guess it's confusing because like when I see the quotes, it makes me think it's a string, but it's referencing like those things. I mean, I literally just wrote what it wrote. It sounds like that's what it wants me to do. That's correct. Nice. You got a new callable syntax on the first try. Yeah, because you wrote it. Like, I didn't. I mean, you told me how to write it. The way you described it, I couldn't understand. I had to look at what it was writing. Writer? Okay. I'll write out function ready. Function ready. Adds node to the group units. Add to group units. connects the connects the im connects the input event. I have to repeat and then connect. Honestly, I would have to rewrite this line like 100 times before I could like remember this from memory. Input. Comma. GD script. Betty Kruger. I for a second I thought it said Freddy Krueger, but I thought you spelled it in a funny way. That's GD script. That's why a lot of people don't. It's for Godot. That's the only reason I'm using it. Self. On input event. Yeah, I know I'm submitting the same thing here, but that's correct. 2 out of 3 sentences. I'm gonna try to write it. I'm gonna try not look at it. I feel like I'm not really doing anything. Function ready. Ready. What was it? I had to look. Add to units. Add to group. Add to group. Units. Add to group. Connect. So are you coding a web service? The only possible for J's I know. The only purpose for J's I know. No. I'm learning to code. I'm just trying to get the hang of it. Basically, I'm trying to build this game, right? I'm trying to build this game. This is in GD script. But I'm trying to learn to do it learn to do more of the programming myself, which is what I'm doing. But everything you see here was vibe coded, so I'm taking a step back and like learning and stuff. So that's what I'm doing. You've built a complete real chain. Ready joins the group. Wires up click detection on input event. Catches click. Calls select. And your main scenes on. Honestly, I'm a little bit lost from where we were earlier. It's trying to get me to like remember the pieces of the system for selecting units, but I'm a little bit lost. Want to try assembling the entire thing, one full script, top to bottom, everything we've drilled today, or call it here? I don't even remember enough of it, to be honest, to call the entire thing. Yeah, I don't. Could you show me the entire thing all put together so I can see, please? I'm just sort of curious at like what it's gonna spit out. Okay, extends character 2D, variable bool false ready, add to group units. Okay, connect input event, callable self. This line is very confusing. It connects callable self on input event. I'm gonna have to ask it a bunch of questions. Then function select. Change the variable to true. Print selected is str true. Deselect false. Function on input event, viewport event, shape IDX. If event is input, event mouse button, and event pressed. If event mouse button and pressed, and then select, call select. Yeah. This was walking through how it all fits together as a sequence. Well, let me read it as a sequence of events. So we have starts out var fire or ready fires first, add to group, adds this node that this script is in to units, connects input event, callable self on input event. Let me copy this into my thing. I'll rewrite it later a bunch of times because it's hard for me to think of it like that. And then I'm gonna ask it questions about the line where I'm confused. Can we go into more detail on the line? Let's take that line apart piece by piece. Connect input event, callable self on input event. Connect. This is a method every node has access to. Same inheritance story as add to group. It comes from the base node class, so every node type gets it for free. It's job to take a signal this node can emit and wire it into a function that should run whenever that signal fires. It takes two pieces of information, which signal and what to run. I'm a working programmer as far as I know. GS is not the most beginner-friendly language to start with. I believe getting your hands on programming via Python is a great language, and relatively to C++, easy to study, might be easier and more enjoyable. I thought GD script was an easy link. GD script, it's supposed to be Python. It's supposed to be a Python-esque language, like it's very close to it, but different for Godot a little bit. I was told this is the easy one, and I'm for me more useful if I can run what I create and see how it works and change something and see the difference. Yeah, no, you guys are right. I'm just not at that level. I need to like I don't know what this line fully does, right? Try C, but if I try C, then I can't use C with Godot. Like Godot uses this specific language, which is why I'm learning this one. That's why don't touch Python, but that's what GD script is essentially, and it works with Godot. Your current problem, not a language? I basically agree with you, I think. Ah. Hey, Freddy, wait, Fetty Kruger, do you, as a working programmer, has AI affected your job? I'm just trying to, because you said you're a working program, like for realsies, like you do this for a living. Has this, like, affected your, basically, work? And in which way, please? I'm just super curious to find out from someone that that is working in the industry. Because I'm obviously a hobbyist, or trying to become a hobbyist of such a thing. C is very low level, so it's boring to start with, learning pointers and etc. C is very low level, right? It's like it's not like English, right? Low level means you have to know more about computers. It's like I don't want to right now know like that. Oh, I have to tell my GPU to handle this, or my CPU to, like I don't want to know things on that level right now. Like I'm like right now this is like where I want to be, and then dig into the more complicated stuff down the road. It's good to learn loops and other things with no specific to Godot things. You're right in that it's definitely probably better that I would learn that, but I have to. I'm just learning whatever I have to work on the game that is currently in front of me. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not super concerned about like eventually I'll hit a snag where it's like I gotta know C for because you can add C in Godot to your code. There's like a thing you can do that with, like, but that's like way down the road. So far, like all the things I want to achieve in game, this language can handle. So I just have to focus, like, stay focused on this. I think that's my sort of theory. It is a big difference. Yeah, but and we'll figure it out once we get to that. I mean, I'm sure there's people who like built entire games in Godot with this language, and they were fine, right? So like, some people built their own engine to build a game, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. Signal events is a next level for doing that you already need to know base. You're probably right. Alright. First argument. Input event. Okay. Yeah, I asked it to explain this line to me. Let's take that line apart piece by piece. Connect, input event, callable, self, on input event. I still think you can do that, but it will take more time and pain. Yeah. But the way the way I've decided to do it is like if I hit like let's say the game I'm developing the game and it's going good, and then I hit a wall where it's like something can't be achieved without knowing that, and then I'll dig into then I'll dig that hole. But you know, connect. This is a method every node has access to. AI is changing the game drastically. Even a couple years ago, while AI was not so mighty, you should have known how to make things by yourself. Now the trend is to understand not the details, but general idea and the result which would like to get. Generally, the speed of development has raised, and you may think that life has become easier, but it's quite hard to find a job because AI is quite decent. See, that's what I'm saying. Look at like that's what I'm saying. Look at this. Look at what I've done. Right? Check this out. Imagine like I did this with Claude, knowing nothing about coding. Like, and look the physics. Look at the physics. Like the units can push each other out of the way. The units can push the enemy units out of the way. There's physics being applied. Imagine like how upsetting it must be for people who actually know how to program that somebody like me just sat down in front of Claude and did this. It's literally like it's looking like an RTS game with and like look at this door. The door opens. The door closes. This wasn't one shot. I build it function by function. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like, do I need to code? I'm doing this more as like I feel internally like I should understand the structure of things, but I did that with knowing nothing. Like I just sat there and described what I wanted, one little function by one little function until things worked correctly. And yeah, but I'm still going to pursue this. The knowing how to program, that way I can set up the base properly and then throw Claude at the edge cases where I can't understand something, like where it's just like, hey, there's a physics issue, you go figure it out, right? That's the game plan for me, is to sort of become an 80-20, like an 80-20 programmer where I program like 80% of it and I throw Claude at that 20% where I'm just like, this is too hard, you know? And look, they have animations, they walk in different directions, like, and we're gonna keep expanding on that, so. But like I said, I feel internally like I should learn. The main drawback of vibe coding is that it's not robust. If something breaks in production, it's almost impossible to debug if your project is big. I think, and that's why I'm learning. I think the issue is that like, that's what I'm afraid of, is like the game will get to a point where I can't fix it. Like, well, obviously I can't fix it, but if it can't fix it, then I definitely won't be able to get in there and fix it because I don't like really understand why something is or isn't working. And yeah, I think that's the issue, is like prototyping something small like what I just showed you is possible, but like if that game keeps expanding and like there's more and more rules on top of each other, I will never be able to decipher what is going on under the hood, which is why I'm like trying to learn this so I can like kind of work with Claude and then like use it for edge cases instead of like using it for everything. So that's I think that's you're correct. But also on the same note, let's say the game takes me like 4 years. In 4 years, is that issue going to be resolved? Where like all of these systems will be able to program in a way that is actually just correct from top to bottom, and you know it won't spaghetti code, right? It's also kind of like, is it worth spending 4 years learning if it's actually just going to get good enough to where you actually won't have to know? I don't know. Right now, I think it's good to stick with the learning and commit to. Like, basically, I'm gonna use Claude, I'm gonna learn, and hopefully, like, we meet each other, and then I'll be able to, like, kind of, you know. But yeah, I think what you just said is correct, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing here today. Connect input event callable. So okay, connect. This is a method every node has access to. Same in. Great question. It bothers me too. Yeah, that's a scary thing, right? That's the scary thing, is that like, I don't know. This is a method every node has access to. Same inheritance story as add to group. It comes from base node class. Every node type gets it for free. Its job takes a signal this node can emit and wire it to a function that run whenever that signal fires. It takes two pieces of information: which signal and what to run. This is a method node, has access to same inheritance story as add to group. It comes from the base node class, so every node type gets it for free. Its job take a signal this node can emit and wire it to a function that should run whenever that signal fires. It takes two pieces of information: which signal and what to run. First argument, input event. This is the name of a signal you're subscribing to, written as a string. This particular signal isn't something you defined. It's built into collision object 2D, which your character body 2D unit inherits from, and Goda automatically emits it whenever a click or touch lands on that node's collision shape. Think of a signal as an announcement. The node can make, hey, something happened to me, and other code can choose to listen for the specific announcement by name. Second argument, callable, self on input event. This is a more unusual piece, so let's slow down. A callable is a special Goda data type whose whole purpose is to represent a function as a value, essentially a reference to a specific function. Dude, this is so hard. I might have to tap out for a little bit. But I'm reading and my eyes are like watering. A callable is a special Goda data type whose whole purpose is to represent a function as a value, essentially a reference to a specific function on a specific object. It hasn't been run yet. It's a way of saying, here's a function to call later. Rather than calling it immediately, think of it like handing someone a phone number instead of calling them yourselves. You're not making the call right now, you're giving someone else, the signal system, the means to make the call when the right moment comes, breaking down its own two arguments. Self means this exact node, the one the script is attached to. It tells the callable which object function to run. Important because many different units in your game might have their own on input event function. Self pins it down to this one. Oh, okay. I think I get it. Oh, that's what the self means. Okay. Pins it down to this. Okay. On input event, the name of the function to run written as a string. Input event, the name of the function to run written as a string. There's a string on that object. So reading the whole line as a sentence. When this node's input event signal fires. When this node's input event signal fires, call this node's on input event function. One thing worth flagging, honestly, in Go.4, this can actually be written more simply using dot syntax instead of a string name. Callable self on input event is valid, but many Go.4 examples write it as self on input event directly, letting Go infer the callable automatically. Self or this can be a pain for understanding if you don't know what class object. Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy. Can you give a synopsis on which point you are on now? Do you know basic language constructions as loops, functions, classes? Have you heard about object-oriented programming? No. Everything you just said is everything you just said. On which point you are on now? I'm just basically asking Claude to teach me programming, and I'm asking it to reference, like I'm asking it to include the code that I asked it to use in the game in the lessons. So like I'm drilling the lessons here. I'm drilling the lessons, and I'm like slowly integrate the code that's in the game, so I can like slowly read and understand my own code that it wrote. That's all I'm doing is like everything you just said I don't know how to translate. Basically no. I'm having trouble with just the most basic things. But I figure if I just like if a mouse falls into a milk and it keeps treading, the milk turns into butter and the mouse can get out. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm treading milk. I'm a mouse and milk, and hopefully it will turn into butter and I can understand enough to function eventually. Right? You gotta just like dive in. I don't know. So yeah, basically I don't know. Connect input event, self on input event. Okay. Connect input event, self on input event. Both work. The string. Where is it? Self on input. Okay, it's just giving me a different version of how you could write it. Both worked. The string-based version is more explicit about what's happening under the hood, which is why I use it for teaching. The dot syntax version is what you'll see more often in modern Go.4 code and docs. Want to try a drill using a shorter syntax? Guys, let me honestly, like my brain is fried. I know I've only streamed for like 3 hours, but honestly, like my brain is fried. I need to go eat something and watch some YouTube, and then I'm going to read into this more because it's very challenging. Um, but I appreciate you guys watching. It's just my brain is fried. But anyway, I super appreciate it. I'm gonna continue learning to program. I feel like it will help, unless I'm wrong and I just will end up not like it'll just do everything perfectly. But and it's honestly I do enjoy it. Like when things are clicking for me, like when I was writing earlier and I was understanding function good lot Good luck further. Thank you. I will have further luck. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. And good luck with programming. I hope AI doesn't destroy all those jobs or whatever. I hope it like works out for all of us somehow in a positive way. Um, but yeah, anyway, I'm gonna stop because 3 hours of me trying to read stuff is about as much as my brain can take before my brain melts, which is why I'm not a programmer in real life. Because my bandwidth for focusing is very short. Anyway, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna go relax and I'll come back